All right. Who can do the creepiest voice?
Probably you.
Yeah, I say you.
I want to hear the attempts. I need a good opening.
Jake, let me hear a creepy voice.
What kind of creepy are we talking? We're talking. Well, okay.
Just creepy. What you think is creepy and scary, lay it on me right now. Go.
Welcome to request. That's horrible.
That's suboptimal.
Yeah, Porky Pig.
No, it was an attempt. It was an attempt. Go ahead. I want finish the thought. So I'll give you a prompt. How about I give this prompt? I want you to do welcome viewers to the Nope November discussion video. All right, go.
Welcome viewers to the Nope November discussion video.
I got
Burger King foot lettuce guy.
I was say I got more of a Jigsaw vibe off of him. All right, Chris, go.
Welcome viewers. What am I saying again?
Welcome viewers to the Nope November discussion video.
Welcome viewers to the Nope November discussion.
Okay, all right, I'll take it. Matt, lay it on me, man.
Welcome to the No Shave, No Nut November discussion video.
I like the whole Dracula thing. All right, my turn. Welcome, viewers, to the Nope November discussion video. I am Rayquaza. Are you ready to say nope? Are you? Let's do this. Welcome, viewers. Welcome indeed. This is Nope November, and this is one of the very first discussion videos that I have planned for all of you. Like I was just telling my boys here, I'm running out of time, but here's one of the two discussion videos I have planned. So, the topic, I think you guys know. If you're reading this, if you read the title, you know exactly. We are going to be discussing the scariest video game in existence. And joining me tonight is right above me, Mr. Chris. Thank you for joining me. Right across from him is Jake. Hi, Jake. And the voice from beyond is our friend Matt. Welcome, everybody. How are we feeling tonight?
What's going on?
I'm feeling kind of spooky right now, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, for real. On the NGL, Jake, right?
Spooky.
NGL, no cap.
NGL, no cap.
All right. Basically, I'm just going to go down the line. I will give as much detail as needed to each one of these scary video games. I mean, if you guys want to introduce them as well, that is perfectly fine. I believe all of you have at least one that you can basically give a good description for, so we will do that. But I am going to take it in full stride with one of the first horror games that I have played on this channel, and that being Outlast. Now, for those that don't know, Outlast is a wonderful spoopy game. I would say more of a fantastic pure horror. The concept of the game being that you run or you hide. That is it. You can't fight. They catch you, you die. Locked up in an insane asylum, you are a reporter investigating a bunch of weird disturbances. You head on over to see that the insane asylum is completely taken over by the inmates, some of them forming some type of cult worshipping something called the Wall Rider, and all of them just absolutely mad with power. Some even being horrible mutations that are grotesque and, well, just absolutely terrifying. And I will give more descriptions as needed, but what do you think about Outlast?
Now, well, I own it. I've owned it for so long and I haven't played it. However, I've done my research. I know the basics of it. Chris Walker is terrifying.
Chris Walker is horrible. I will actually, you know
terrifying.
What? Darn it, I don't have my, give me a quick second.
The doctor guy you run into.
Traeger.
Terrifying.
Matt, let me get your 2 cents in on this. How do you feel about games? There's a lot of video games out there that, you have the monster, you usually can fight them and whatnot, but taking away that ability to fight, leaving you the only option is for you to run. How do you feel about stuff like that?
I think when a game does that, especially in a game where you have the ability to fight and it's taken away from you, that will make me the most scared I've ever been in a video game. And it's a little bit of like just, I'm scared because of the fictional content and the atmosphere, but it's also scared from a gameplay sense of, I don't want to lose. I don't want to die. What was I just playing? I was just playing Black Mesa, which is the remake. The remake of the original Half-Life 1, one of the greatest video games of all time. And the Black Mesa remake is incredible. But there's one portion with a boss fight where for the first 2/3 of the boss fight, you really can't do any damage with it, and you're just running from it. And yeah, it's terrifying. With the feeling of like, you're like, I have to get across this field to go through this small tunnel at the end of the field where the boss won't be able to chase me. And knowing it's behind me, and like, there's no point in turning around and looking because it will only slow me down. I just have to get across this field and use my speed boosts as proficiently as I can. That's like edge of your seat. And I'm trying to think of anything else. So like, yeah, that's probably about it.
Okay, I like that.
I think when a game takes away your ability to do damage, it goes against what is so common in an overwhelming majority of video games, which is the ability to do damage.
Mm-hmm. And
so it's like, whew.
Yeah, going into it's not a complaint because it does warn you, so it kind of takes away the shock factor. Going into Outlast, it does say you run or you hide. There's no in between. It already warns you that the things, if they catch you, that you die. And what you describe about, I just need to run because it's going to catch me. Because when you have that big guy chasing you, Mr. Lovely Chris Walker, hey, Chris. Chris. You have that lovely big guy chasing you. It is just absolutely terrifying. And you can look behind you, but you really don't want to, watching him chase down. So, with the whole aspect of not being able to fight, just needing to run and hide, obviously it's already terrifying. But is it the scariest, though? Because there's all these other different... We have... What I talked about Outlast, I describe it as a game that doesn't hold your hand. Does not sugarcoat anything, and you are constantly being bombarded by these lovely graphic visuals that are absolutely disgusting and terrifying. And I had to blur out some stuff because it was too much. But let me get your thoughts and opinions on this, Chris and Jake.
So on like, if I consider Outlast to be one of the scariest games of all time, or like if...
Yeah, what would be some nice contending pieces that would put it up there?
So the no fight that you can't fight thing is a huge part of what I think, at least to me, makes Outlast such like a scary and like great horror game. Again, I haven't played it. I mean, I've played minutes of it, but like the gameplay I've seen either on your channel or it's like out there, the fact that you have to hide. It's like, you ever play Alien Isolation?
Yes.
No.
So two things that make it scary. And the first one being pretty much the exact same thing, where yeah, you can shoot the alien, but
What's the point?
yeah, so that's what really makes games, I think, scary, is when like Matt said, you can't, you want to fight it. Your instinct is, I'm going to shoot this thing, but you can't. The game takes that away from you. It doesn't give it to you in the first place. So I think Outlast is definitely a very good contender. I don't know versus Outlast 1 or 2, which one would be scarier, because I know we're talking about Outlast 2 next. But,
so sort of a point of order as we talk more. I did do a little bit of preparation for this. In fiction, or in literature rather, the difference between horror and terror is kind of what I think you're talking about, Jonah. So traditionally speaking in literature, terror is what we would most normally call fear, or the feeling of dread and anticipation and fear that precedes a terrible experience or the danger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Horror is typically defined as the revulsion and fear that follows the actual event itself. So terror would be the thriller part of the movie where you're not sure what's happening, or you're running, or you're fleeing, and you don't have a full picture of what's going on. And horror is after you've seen the thing or had the terrible experience, and you still have that element of fear, but now you know what you're dealing with.
All right. So
Something like Saw, the Saw franchise, those sort of torture horror movies, those are definitely horror, because there's no lead up really in the Saw movies where it's like, oh, we're spending the first 2/3 of the movie not sure what we're dealing with. No, the Saw movies are in your face with lots of gore and horror, whereas something like M. Night Shyamalan or Alfred Hitchcock, or more of your paranormal scary movies, would be more terror.
yes.
So talking about I can't fight and I'm running and it's chasing me is going to be more on the terror side. And then like Outlast, you see these terrible creatures. That's pretty horrifying.
Okay. That's actually a really great segue into Outlast 2. So I will talk a little bit about Outlast 2 first, and try to compare the two, because I mean, obviously they should be compared. But Outlast 2 definitely is more terror than horror. There are some pretty grotesque and graphic imagery in there, but you are going in to investigate some weird paranormal stuff. Like right in the beginning, spoilers, if you want to play, go play the game. I guess I should have started I guess I should have started the video with saying spoiler warning. I will cut this out and just blip back spoilers. Anyways, you are hit with a crap ton of unknowns. I may be an idiot, but I'm still having a hard time making the connections with what's going on. There is so much unknown to Outlast 2. It is weird. You draw a couple of main basics. Oh, right. Two cults. One is the Christians, one is the heretics. The Christians want to basically kill the main character's wife because they think she has the Antichrist in her, like as in a baby form, and then the heretics want to protect the wife and help her have the child so they can have the Antichrist. It's like, that's a pretty straightforward, but there's so much in between stuff that's going on. Like your character's having these flashbacks that like literally take him out of what he's dealing with into like this school, and you can't figure out exactly what it is in the school. There's like these monsters, and like it keeps talking about his childhood friend, and like while you're in the school, you don't know what's going to happen. I think at one point I'm walking to school, then all of a sudden the sprinklers go off and it's raining blood, and like somehow that's connected to what's going on in the current time, because when you get out of the flashback into the real world, the sprinklers raining blood, you get back to the real world and it's raining blood in the real world, and you're like, what is going on? It's just a lot of unknown horror that comes out of nowhere, and you're like, why is this happening? So, like I said, I think Outlast 2 is more terror and Outlast 1 is more horror. The question is, which one of those is more scary?
I mean, well, one thing I think that makes a really scary game is having the player always in control. I've been playing Resident Evil 2 in preparation for this video.
Yeah.
And I was saying, whenever there's a cutscene, it no matter, there might be something like horrifying happening, but I'm still secure because it's scripted. Then whereas something like Outlast, where 1 minute you're just walking around and now you're just here. It's in it. There's no real cutscenes. It's always in first person.
Yes.
And the script lasts for like 5 seconds out of whack.
Yeah. Literally, like in the last video I just played, literally I'm rowing my little boat in a river, then all of a sudden I'm thrown into a flashback by one of the monsters, and then the monster throws me back to the real world, and it's like, I'm not doing anything, I don't know what's going on, as the monster's just literally just chucking me back and forth through reality. Yeah, it's weird. So you think Control has a big aspect in like how scary a game is?
So I'm really trying to avoid talking about Resident Evil 2 right now, but there's something I want to go on those lines.
Okay, all right.
When we get there.
All right.
'Cause that's on the list, right?
That is on the list.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can talk. So I think the bit of this video we'll be talking about the games, giving like a general overview, and then we'll go back and like try to measure them out and choose like a different one. But we'll talk about Resident Evil 2 because
We'll talk about it.
No. I want to talk about it because not only do I have the remake on here, someone suggested the original as well.
Josh just walked in the room and wants me to tell you about the troll ending of Borderlands 3.
It's the scariest thing. It's very scary.
It's very scary.
Oh, I love it. All right.
No.
So talking about Resident Evil, literally, it's this. Resident Evil 2 has some really nice, clean graphics. We are talking absolute gore fest with Resident Evil.
Leon is hot.
Huh?
Oh my gosh.
Leon is hot. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
I mean, I think that's kind of her character in a whole.
No,
I think
Leon's the guy.
Oh, Leon. Oh, I thought. Okay.
I'm throwing that out there.
Okay.
Got him.
Yeah, I'm gonna come downstairs, bro. I don't. Me and Jake are brothers, so we live in the same house. Jake, I'm gonna come downstairs, bro. I'm gonna just throw something at you, I swear.
No. Anyways, we have the lovely clear graphics where you get to see the guy's head getting absolutely crushed and mauled, all the blood and guts and everything. That in itself is like, it's a very cheap way to have like a horror because it's just gross, but it works because not only do you have to worry about like not only is it disgusting, but the interesting thing about Resident Evil is every encounter makes it feel like I thought I was playing raw, right? I thought I was playing raw. Like every encounter, I just had just enough bullets to kill the zombie. I had just enough health to make sure I get through this one encounter. And I realized, no, that's just how it really is. It makes you feel like every encounter is your last. And like you said, Jake, you can prepare for that. You can have control over that because you can go and search and gather and prepare yourself for the different encounters, but then you got Mr. I can't remember his name.
Mr. X. Mr. X.
X
Oh yeah.
chasing you. But that's Resident Evil 2. The remake. The original, though, there's something about the pixelated horrors of old games that just leaves you like that lets your mind wander. The bad graphics like fills it in a little bit, but you draw so many conclusions from this distorted image, and you're like, oh, this looks terrifying, because your mind kind of has to fill in the holes that the pixels don't cover. Yeah, sure, Resident Evil, the remake gives, like, completely fills it out for you, but your own imagination is your worst enemy in those types of games. Let me get your thoughts.
I gotta be honest. I've played the old school Resident Evil type games. I hate to say, they're too dated for me to really get into them. Like, I have Resident Evil. I played about 2 hours of Resident Evil 1. The door animations I just can't do the steady cam. What's it called? The fixed camera angles.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm really bad at it.
That's scary.
I liked. It is scary. It is, but I don't know. In my opinion, Resident Evil 1 versus Resident Evil 2 remake. Resident Evil 2 remake is a more scary game.
Okay. Matt, do you have anything to say about remastered graphics versus old pixelated horror games?
I would probably personally defer to better graphics equals more horror.
Mm-hmm.
Having just played Black Mesa, which is a remake of Half-Life 1, not that it's a horror game, but there's certainly scarier parts, especially early in the game, where you have a crowbar and nothing else. And not a lot of resources. Better graphics makes it easier for me personally to get immersed. But that's just me.
Okay.
It all comes down to the writing ultimately and the art direction. Even with low res graphics, if you have good writing and directing overall and a good story, then that'll scare people. I don't need Alfred Hitchcock movies to be in color. I can watch them in black and white, and it's still going to be a good movie.
Okay, Jake, what do you think?
But generally, I'll defer to better graphics where possible.
Okay, I mean, yeah, always helps the experience. Jake, what do you think?
One thing I will say, I know we're supposed to be talking about Outlast right now.
We kind of jumped, but yeah, keep going.
Personally, I also like better graphics. When I was 10, it had to be like the old Sonic games had to be new 3D. Obviously I'm more out of that phase, but one thing about Matt said with the writing, I felt like Resident Evil 2, the remake. I watched the first 5 minutes of the original. The remake just the writing made like more scary. Because in Resident Evil 2, the first one, I don't know, they kind of didn't give a lot of context. Not that you had it in the remake, but they made it like kind of, again, with what Matt said about horror versus terror, they made it, more terror at the beginning where you're like, what is happening?
Mm-hmm.
Versus the original where it just kind of felt like it happened.
Okay.
Like, I walk into a gas station, there's like some zombie boys. I go, some guy gets eaten, I get the shotgun. Versus it feels more unlockable in the more like not unlockable, but like more progression better in the remake.
Okay. So we were talking about like a build up, like the anticipation, the little teasers of oh, maybe you see the monster out of the corner of your eye, but then you look and then it's gone, and you're like, okay, what was that? And then you keep seeing glimpses, or like you find little books of lore. One thing about Resident Evil I love is finding the notes and whatnot. Be like, this thing attacked my boys. It was fast. It was blah blah blah. And then you find another note that's like gives more of the story, and it builds up this anticipation, and then you meet your first liquor. Is it called a
Liquors.
liquor?
Oh yeah, the liquors.
Yeah, and then you see the first liquor, and all the notes and everything. It builds it in your mind, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, what is this nasty mess?" So yeah, I will say that plays a big part. The anticipation, like giving the lore is really important. Like when I say lore, I mean you walking around, you find a book or like a video or whatever. It just like gives you a little snippet of like someone of like giving their like a description, whatever. It helps build and flesh out the world and lets your imagination run wild in it. But I think that's good about Resident Evil. I will move on. I want to get this big doozy one out of the way, talking about it, because there's so much. Hey Matt, why don't you, sir, talk about Until Dawn? Uh-oh, did we lose Matt?
Your Matt's not here.
Oh no, is he not here?
I'm back.
Oh, okay. Matt.
I've had myself muted.
Okay, all good. Matt, why don't you give us some description, brief description about Until Dawn?
Okay, so Until Dawn. Hold on 1 second. I can pull up Wikipedia. Until Dawn is an interactive drama horror game released for the PlayStation 4 and sadly only the PlayStation 4. It is a shoot. Nope.
Mm-hmm.
All the other ones are multi-platform.
Yeah.
But the original Until Dawn is PS4 only. So it is a third-person mystery survival choose-your-own-adventure horror game where you have 8 young adults who go to a rich person's mountain lodge, and when they get to the mountain lodge, they lose power and there's a storm, so they're completely stranded. There's a butterfly effect where any big choices and oftentimes little choices change the story. There's something like 70 different possible endings, and you can go. You can give. Actually, so people will see that with all variations, there's about 256 technical endings.
No.
Wow.
That fall into 3 main types of endings in terms of large overall plot points. But there's, technically speaking, 256 different variations. But you have to keep in mind that of those 8 people, anyone can die and anyone can live. So you can get all your major plot point endings plus mix and match who lives or who dies. And that's what gets you that many permutations. But there's some major things that can change. So I played it with my sister-in-law, and we were swapping characters. So I'll take these characters, you take those characters, 4 and 4. And she failed one of a series of QuickTime events relatively early in the game and got one of her characters killed relatively early. It takes a lot of tropes from many classic horror movies and horror video games. Very popular. It gained a lot of post-popularity on YouTube with Let's Play and those types of channels. Notably starred as actors Hayden Panettiere and Rami Malek, who's now an Oscar winner.
Oh, I didn't know that. Awesome.
Yep. So I love it. It does a lot of the nice tropes of horror movies in terms of there's some jump scares, there's some you're running from the bad guys, which are now paired with QuickTime events. So that's how any big action scene happens, is QuickTime events, and those QuickTime events can be button mashing. They can be move your cursor or move your controller, aim at the right point, or they can just be a reactionary, react in time. Nice. It has supernatural elements. It has human elements in terms of like human fighting and supernatural fighting.
It just basically just brings every type of horror thing together. in one cacophony of terror.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
They've also then started, the same developer released a game this year called The Quarry, which is very similar. 9 teenage camp counselors at a summer camp, and there's both supernatural creatures and violent humans. Many choices that can affect anything. All of the 9 characters can survive or die. I haven't played this one yet, but it's very inspired by all of the slasher movies, Friday the 13th and things like that.
So camp counselors sound very Friday the 13th.
Yeah, exactly.
Camp counselor.
Then what they've made that I have played is the Dark Pictures Anthology, which so far has 4 games. They're all a little bit shorter than Until Dawn. If I look at my playtime,
I think you're about 8 hours in all of them.
yeah, House of Ashes, I'm about 6.5 hours. Little Hope was 5 hours. Man of Medan was 5 hours.
Nice.
So they're pretty short. They follow the same pattern. Gameplay is all the same, and they actually have more or less the same supporting cast of voice actors, which is really cool. Just playing different roles, all different characters. They're all separate stories. One of them is a mix of historical fiction where the main cast of characters goes on an old wreck of a World War II ship and has to deal with supernatural forces on the haunted ship plus pirates. One of them is sort of a Salem, Massachusetts, early America Puritan witching story.
Gotta love those.
Set with the modern day people exploring a haunted town at night. And then the last one we played is really awesome because it's set in Iraq, like during the Iraq War, where a team of soldiers and explorers is trapped underground exploring an ancient, the thousands of year old temple.
Oh, that's actually pretty cool.
And fighting some supernatural beings. And that one was really, really good.
I love it.
So what I think makes where the scariness comes from in these games. Number 1 is QuickTime events.
Oh, yeah.
Take everything we talked about with the terror of being chased and the terror of feeling like you don't have a way to fight back, and now put it in a QuickTime event where you have to, wait for press X, A, B, or Y on your controller, and you have literally a second or less to react to succeed the QuickTime event. Or point your gun by moving your cursor in less than 2 seconds. And I think what also makes these games scary is the stakes. You know that any of your characters can die at pretty much any time, and they will be out for the rest of the game. So whether you like them or not, you do want to generally keep them alive. So we've found personally a lot of the intensity comes from knowing, hey, if I fail this QuickTime event, this person's going to die. Or knowing when you have to make the choices of, do we want to go left or right? Do we want to go in that house or keep walking down the street? Do I want to accuse this person of lying or go along with what they're saying? A lot of the emotional beats of the interpersonal relationships between the characters, you're going to make choices like this choice they give you a relationship meter too between all the characters. So your choices that you make, even not through QuickTime events, just your dialogue choices or your plot choices, will affect the relationship status between those characters, which then will unlock or close off certain paths later down the game. So you're like, oh, do I think this is going to make her mad at me, and then later in the game she won't want to save me if I need her help, and so on and so forth.
That is so stressful.
So you've got the feeling of QuickTime events where at any point I could die and I don't have any real way to get out of this other than succeeding, usually with a horrible monster chasing you. And then you have the sense of you don't know what you're doing, you're trying to figure out the mystery and manage these interpersonal relationships in a way that should hopefully keep everyone alive. And then the other thing these games do great is the whole story and the world building and the backstory and the lore is all done by exploring the environments and finding collectibles,
Nice.
which is also how you can figure out the mystery behind these games.
I like how it doesn't give it to you on a silver platter. Like, you have to actually look for it.
Yeah.
And of
So-
course, I'm assuming exploring increases the risk of your character getting offed by one thing or another.
Not necessarily. Not
Oh.
necessarily. Because a lot of times it'll be you're in this environment and you can just explore the environment until you move on to the next area.
Oh, okay. So kind of
But
gives you
sometimes it can, yeah.
little grace period.
Yes. So needless to say, as you can tell, I'm a fan of them in general. Of the Dark Pictures anthology, the shorter ones. There's I have my personal preference of there's some I like better, there's some I like less.
And
in full transparency, they just released one last one in the Dark Pictures anthology that just released 7 days ago.
Whoa!
And I haven't actually played it yet. It's called The Devil in Me. It's the final installment of the Dark Pictures anthology, season 1, and it has only 5 playable protagonists.
Oh no!
And I have not played it yet.
Because I haven't played a whole lot of them. I've played any of them actually. Are they all connected somehow?
No.
Oh.
The stories
Okay.
are all standalone. However, they are set in the same universe. So for example, Man of Medan is the one that has the haunted World War II wrecked battleship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And apparently in some of the other games, if you find the right collectible, you can find like newspaper clippings that reference, ship lost at sea or something like that. So they are in the same universe where if you look carefully and you find the right collectibles, you can see hints at the other events happening in that universe. But no, they are all separate stories, and they have a lot of the same voice actors and motion capture actors, but they're playing separate characters.
Okay. So for the longest time, and probably still the longest time, when I ask someone, when we're talking about a horror game, I'm like, okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being Until Dawn, that's how I rank games, is using Until Dawn, because Until Dawn is just the gameplay footage and the story. Watching it, it just freaks me out, man. And those foolish monsters are just absolutely nightmare fuel, in my opinion. They're not like the most disgusting looking things, but the way that they move and like the different jump scares that I've seen, it just works so perfectly. And yeah, it's great. It's a great, terrifying game.
Yeah, good stuff. If we get a port of Until Dawn to PC, that'd be great, but I don't think it's going to happen because that game came out a while ago.
Yeah.
You never know. They just ported God of War over like a couple months ago.
Yeah, the God of War is a lot newer.
That is true.
Hold
that
on.
much newer?
Until Dawn came out in 2015.
Oh, it is newer.
God of War PS4 came out, I want to say
2018 or 19.
I want to say 2018. Hello.
We'll see. They release a lot of. They go through and do that sometimes.
Sure.
Well,
But yeah, that's what I came to talk about.
nice. Jake,
One thing I will say about Until Dawn, though, one praise and one critique. The praise, I watched this a lot of it at least when Game Theory was playing it on GT Live, MatPat.
Hey.
Sometimes you don't. It's been a long time, so if I don't remember this right, my bad. But like sometimes you don't really get what's happening. But well, it's like 1 minute I'm doing this thing. There would be this thing happening at whatever camp they're at in the mountains, the snowy mountains. And the next scene, I'm in therapist's office, and he's asking me what if a gun or a knife is scarier.
Yes.
So that would be very kind of like Outlast, terror. You don't know what's happening, and then it's also psychological. Like, if I answer gun, is it really gonna pull that out on me? Like, why is it asking me if a gun or a knife is scarier right now?
It's gonna call it out on you later in the game.
Yeah.
Usually.
One critique is, I think sometimes it might go a little bit too much off of the tropey, 1990s movies, because it's like, why, it's like, if you choose this thing earlier on, and now, these two, Tyler and whatever chick there is in, this private lodge, kind of get their smoochies on a little bit.
Mhm.
And so now, as Tyler, I'm chasing the kidnapped female. I don't know. And so she gets dragged out, but it's like she's in that bloody bikini, and it's like it kind of ruins the effect. Like something crazy's happening, and I'm like, "Hey, yo, that's sick. How is that towel still on? Put some clothes on." Like, bruh.
Jacob, you don't watch slasher movies. That's like the biggest cliche.
That is the biggest cliche ever.
I think you're mixing two things up. So, one, you're right. So early in the game, the stereotypical jock and cheerleader couple goes off to a private area to go hook up, and she's down to her undergarments when she gets attacked. The towel thing is later in the game, where the main character, played by Hayden Panettiere, however you say your name, she's taking a bath when she hears some mysterious noises, and she gets out of the bath, puts the towel around her, and does the classic "Who's there? Hello, hello," and then she gets chased by the slasher and runs around for a while with just a towel on. But then eventually, I can't give anything else away.
Yeah.
Well, those Jake are like.
But yeah, those are also there was once a book that was something. There's a series of books that was like how to survive a sci-fi movie, how to survive a horror movie. You go to Barnes and Noble, the kind of books you see in like the comedy section for like $10. And one of them in the how to survive a horror movie, it has a whole section of like just stay clothed at all times and don't have sex, because the first couple that eats it in every horror movie is the couple that goes off to have sex and gets naked. They're the first ones that get killed.
Yep.
So that's that's definitely a known trope.
Horror movie 101.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Any thoughts, Chris? Any thoughts that you'd like to add?
I mean, again, I have basically every single game we're talking about tonight. I just haven't played like a lot of them.
Gotta step it up,
But that's how it is with Steam, especially when you get bundles. So, I watched a playthrough of Until Dawn, but it was a comedic playthrough, which kind of ruined my perception of how scary it is. Did you watch Call Me Kevin? His thing is he fails at every single game he plays. So his goal was to get the absolute worst ending possible.
That would make me so frustrated.
Oh, it would. It's so funny because it's like the obvious thing is don't go into the door or don't go into this room when you just saw the killer go. And like, oh, that guy looks friendly. Let's go talk to him. And he goes in. So that's my one experience. So I don't know if I doubt it's ruined for me.
No,
I also don't have a PS4. So
okay. Well, we'll move on then, because I mean, I don't want to immediately give the win to Until Dawn, because there's just so much going on in that game.
I don't think I wouldn't say Until Dawn's the scariest game ever.
Okay, all right.
I think Resident Evil beats it out in my opinion.
Let's keep moving on then. I want to get these two out of the way because they're, in my opinion, they're not horror games, not necessarily. One is Ocarina of Time, and the other is Subnautica. Someone came up to me and I said, "Hey, I'm doing this. I'm having a what's the scariest game? What would you like to pick?" And she told me, "It's like, oh, Subnautica, hands down." Okay. Do you mean like the underwater survival game?
Underwater Minecraft.
The underwater Minecraft game?
So, I have that game, and I have VR, so I can play it in VR. And
Ooh.
have I booted it up once?
No.
Nope. But that would be, from everything I know about that game, that would fall under what we were talking about with, having no ability to fight back.
Mm-hmm. You'd like take pictures of the fishies, take picture of the fishies, take picture of the giant leviathan coming to eat my face.
Mhm.
The things of like watching people like driving the little sub through, and they hear like the roar of something, and immediately their ship starts getting rocked by this thing, and they're freaking out. Okay, all right. So this is how I explain this game. The whole underwater thing. I'm not afraid of large bodies of water, but if you know that there are things in the water, like if you like are going out to a beach and they're like, "Hey, we just want to let you know that we have a shark warning because we saw like I don't sharks don't swim in schools, do they? I'm sorry, I'm not a marine biologist."
I don't know. I'm not a marine biologist.
No, I think sharks are solo animals.
Okay,
For the most part.
we've seen sharks or something off the coast nearby, so you want to be careful swimming. And you go down to the beach anyways, and you're like, I'll just go swim. I'll just go swim. I can't help but imagine that in the back of your mind, you're like, yeah, this sucker's gonna come and eat my face if I'm swimming through here. Just the knowing that there's something in the water to kill that might kill you, but you don't know where it is. Yeah. I'd say Subnautica. Here's like the line for like one side is regular games, one side's horror games. Subnautica is just like, I feel like if it is, it's just barely past the line of horror game. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I don't know if horror game is the right word because Minecraft can be really scary sometimes. I don't count that as a horror game.
Shutting that down right now.
Like I said, I don't count that as a horror game. But like wandering in mines can be terrifying when you come across a skeleton. But Subnautica is a different reason. Is it a horror game? At parts, but not. It's not built to be a horror game. It's built to be a survival game.
Mm-hmm.
So like, because there's beautiful, there's nice looking parts. There's like more, I guess, upbeat parts of Subnautica, like the upper ocean and the sun and all that. But there's also the scary stuff. So yeah, I agree with you, Jonah. It's like it's just over the horror line.
Okay. All right. Matt, Jake, any thoughts?
I wouldn't say horror just because I'm going to stick with the definition, the literary definition I said earlier, which is horror is once you've actually seen the awful thing and the terrible thing has happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, in Subnautica, just about the one of two bad ways it can go is you get eaten and killed by a shark or a fish, or you run out of oxygen and you die.
Yeah, basically.
So I would say more traditional terror and not horror. But
Okay.
that's I'm essentially nitpicking.
No. Nitpicking's gonna be helpful when it comes down to choosing the scariest. Jake, what do you think?
Well, yeah, again, I mean, I kind of lost what I was going to say, but it kind of like, largely, it's the buildup of, let's say my base gets, like, damaged or something, it's flooded, it's like, oh my gosh, I gotta fix this right now, and it's like the buildup of, like, kind of like, well, that's not a great example, like, the buildup of, I'm in the deep water, I'm under whatever ship it is or that I'm in, and I'm flying around with this dinky jet ski or whatever underwater, and it's like, where's the Leviathan?
No.
Like, that's like kind of like the build up. I don't. It's not a horror game. It's ominous and it can be stressful and scary, but I wouldn't say it's a horror.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta go off what Jake just said there, if you don't mind, Jonah.
No problem.
I think we should differentiate creepy versus true horror games. Because I play creepy games. Corpse Party, Milk Inside a Bag of Milk, and I think Subnautica would all be creepy games, but they're not like, their goal is not to terrify you. Their goal is to more tell a creepy or thriller stories. Have areas in the game that are creepy or kind of scary. versus Resident Evil Outlast. What are we just talking about? Dark Pick Until Dawn. The idea is to scare you. That is the game's main purpose. And that's where I think is a segue. Ocarina of Time falls in the creepy category.
You really think so? Because I want to go back, like playing the original Ocarina of Time and the bad graphics. I'm going bad because I can't remember if I did a video of this. I probably should have by now. I can't remember if I did, but there was an idea I had about talking about what makes a horror game a horror game. And or I might have even done a video of what makes a good video game a good video game. Honestly, graphics, my opinion, yeah, sure, it's kind of essential, but like you said, Matt, you have good storytelling, you have a good atmosphere. Graphics can kind of be put on the back burner because because let me tell you, Ocarina of Time, those graphics just intensified certain spooky moments. Walking into the Temple of Death or the Shadow Temple, whatever it was called, freaking absolute nightmare fuel. Walking in and you see all of like the boats made out of the boat made out of like the dead bodies and like the re-deads. Oh my gosh, the re-deads and the dead hands. That all is just absolutely awful. But then again, that is only a select parts of the game. It's not all like that. But I feel like just the graphics alone just makes it that much more spooky.
And I feel like we should bring up Minecraft because a lot of
Oh my gosh,
time,
Jacob. Oh my gosh.
Both of you.
So I gotta be honest, I played Ocarina of Time, the remaster, when I was 18. So yeah, this actually didn't scare me at all. I gotta be honest. It was creepy. Don't get me wrong. The hand guy is freaky.
I mean,
Scary?
Look at this thing. I'm gonna post a picture. Look at this thing. Look at it.
You know, I'm looking at it right now on my screen.
Yeah.
It's scary, but it's not that bad. There's worse stuff. I wish Phil was here because I've had this debate with Phil about old games versus new games. The N64 controller is an abomination of the controller, so I don't want to get down that road though. That might make it horrifying on its own road. But
Hey, listen, I know you guys are all young, but some of us were raised on that N64 controller, so put some respect on the name, homie.
Matt, would you rather play Call of Duty on the N64 controller or an Xbox controller?
That's not the question.
But we're not talking about controllers.
That's the next
We're not talking about
The N64 is a bad controller, but listen, some of us grew up with that, so watch it. Respect your elders, okay?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to play on a 64 controller, but yeah, different conversation. Maybe I'll do a controller tier list for another video. That would be a
Mouse
good
and
one.
keyboard is just number one.
I cannot.
I like a steering wheel.
I have to
Anyway,
I have to play with this bad boy.
you know, Jonah, I gotta admit, looking at pictures, the remaster one is not as scary as the original one. And I think, like you were saying, it's because of the older graphics. I still don't find the original one scary. Don't get me wrong, but it is definitely. I can see 12-year-old Chris being horrified by this thing.
Matt, back me up here. Back me up here.
On what? On what?
On old original OG Ocarina of Time being absolutely terrifying at some points.
Nah. I don't know that I can say terrifying.
I would argue, actually, Majora's Mask is scarier than this game. That move is a whole lot creepier.
I had this conversation with someone. Majora's Mask has a much more horror type of aesthetic to it, but there are moments in Ocarina of Time that kind of trumps that a little bit. Just a little bit. In my opinion, at least.
I would say this thing actually is scarier than the original. Again, I played the remaster, so it's not as scary. The original one with just the white and red just popping on your screen, that is a lot more terrifying than the purple one from the remake.
Yeah. All right. I'll take it off the list if you think it's not scary. That was mostly jokingly. I actually can't remember who suggested that. I thought it was Phil, but I guess not. All right. Talked about that. We briefly talked about Alien Isolation. Let's. What, Chris?
I'm glad you brought this up. So we're talking about Alien Isolation. The first reason I already stated why the game is scary is because you can't fight the alien. The second reason I think this game is terrifying, the AI that used to track you down won awards for being such a great AI. This thing, they designed an extremely intense AI with the specific purpose of killing the player, and that's terrifying.
I'm with Chris on this one.
Tell me more, actually, because this is the first time hearing of this.
So, Alien Isolation. I don't know too much about the AI, which I should probably look into more, because that's my field. But the AI in the game is super complex, and it won several awards for how intense it is. And its entire goal is to kill you. It's insane. And the game is very good. The atmosphere in the game. Have you seen the original? If you've seen the original Alien, it's
Yes.
a little reminiscent of that.
Yeah,
It absolutely is reminiscent of the original.
So
actually, to the point where I think that one of the DLCs literally just played through the movie.
I don't know enough about AIs. How does one make an AI that specifically targets the player?
So
it's a game where you're basically running and fleeing from it, and the AI will search. Hold on, let's see if we can look it up. Alien.
Basically, from what I can guess, so I haven't looked too much into it, but I've done AI classes. The AI will say, well, it'll search. When it finds you, it'll mark down. I believe that's how it works. It marks down where it found you. And if it notices a pattern of you hiding in lockers all the time, it's gonna rip open every locker it sees until it finds you. Or if you hide in tables, like under tables, it's gonna check the tables more.
No, I don't like that.
It's this type of game.
So you have to be unpredictable, or else you're screwed. Oh, I don't like that at all.
The other thing the game is good at, it's very slowly introducing the alien in. Like in the movies, you hear it in the ceiling, you get the space jockey and all that first, and then you get the alien. It's like you see the carnage of the alien, you hear the alien, but you don't see it until a good hour or two into the game.
Really?
When it hunts you down. And it's terrifying when you first see it. Especially after learning about how good the AI is. It ups the level of how scary that game is.
Okay.
Here, I found an article that I'll read from.
All right, go ahead.
The alien AI is reliant upon behavior trees. The monster has over 100 nodes hidden within its behavior tree system, with the top level of around 30 nodes responsible for selecting the immediate behavior it was about to execute. Those top-level nodes would then have the alien execute within large subsections of the tree related to specific sub-behaviors. And this is all about how it searches for you and chases you or fights you, because you can't kill the alien. You can run from it, hide from it, or at best scare it away if you have fire or other tools. To add to this, certain parts of the alien's behavior tree at the beginning of the game are locked. The alien AI gradually unlocks these behaviors throughout its behavior tree as certain conditions are met throughout the game. That means the longer you progress through the game, the alien starts to exhibit new traits to keep you on edge.
No. That's not cool at all. So it legit, not only does it learn, it grows stronger. That's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about not only a game where you're powerless, where the enemy you can't kill. You can't do anything besides run and hide. And on top of that, the enemy actually learns and grows in strength and exhibits that's not the right word. And gains these new power.
It's a crazy game. It's pretty good.
That's bad. Because one thing that I use to my advantage is I play the game. Meaning I play the game, right? As in like knowing that, hey, if I hide behind this little sliver of a stick, Freddy Fazbear is not gonna see me. I loved Security Breach. If I hide behind a shopping cart for like 5 seconds, Chica's gonna lose sight of me. Is gonna be like, all right, I guess I'll go walk away now.
Must have been the wind.
Must have been the wind. But yeah, basically. But I feel like with that, I can't imagine. It's oh no, huh? Jake, give me your thoughts on this. What do you think?
Well, I watched YouTuber PVG play this again a few years ago. It looks scary. Yes, it looks scary, and I thought the kills were cool because. Would I say it's scarier than watching Jonah play Outlast 2, though?
Be careful. Be really careful what you're about to say next. I'm kidding.
Jake, I'll make a deal with you. You have access to my Steam account. I have both of those games. Why don't you try it out?
Yes.
Well, I kind of can't play Outlast 2.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. But Alien's T, so you can play that.
It's T, really?
I think it's
what?
T. I don't know if it was T. I take that back. I doubt it. I doubt it's T. I take that back.
That would be insane if it's a T.
No, it's not T. Never mind.
Okay.
I have a confession, Chris.
Yes.
I started Alien Isolation. I haven't gone further than like an hour.
Matt, I have a confession to make. I
What?
started Alien Isolation. I haven't gone beyond the second level.
No.
Oh, okay.
Why?
Well-
Because you guys couldn't. It's not engaging enough.
No.
No, I
don't
got
remember
sidetracked
why.
with Nier Automata. To be
I
honest.
probably got sidetracked with Gloomhaven.
Oh, that's also good. That would be yeah.
Not that scary, but yeah.
Yeah.
Gloomhaven's one of the best. We
Okay.
could have a whole separate episode just talking about Gloomhaven, but it's not scary, so we can't
Not
talk
scary,
about
so
it
we're
We
right
talking
can't
now.
talk about it. All right. I have two other games. Alien Isolation. I'm definitely gonna put up there. I'm gonna have two other games. They're smaller games, very unheard of, but this one's a bit of a joke game. I will explain this. So this game is Tattletale. Who remembers Furbies?
Sure.
Okay.
So the little animatronic furry things, right? Well, they made this company. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to look them up. I feel bad.
Waygetter Electronics.
Hmm?
The Waygetter Electronics.
Yep, thank you, sir. They made a horror game on about the Furbies. Basically, you are a kid with this little Furby toy, and you're trying to and it wakes you up, and you have to take care of it because the Furby toy has a I'm gonna have to look it up. It has a grooming and a feeding and a battery meter that you all have to take care of while you're walking around your house in the middle of the night. While you're walking around in the house and having to worry about your tattletale being well kept, you also have some evil tattletales trying to eat your face, and each one with their own type of attacking method. One, I can't list all of them because I don't remember all the different methods, but one's like, oh, you can't look at it. Oh, you have to stare at it. Oh, you have to run to the nearest corner. Oh, you have to make sure that you do a 360 spin around. Each Furby Tattletale has a different method that if you don't follow out if you don't follow out the different order, it will come and eat you. There's something about Furbies that are absolutely terrifying, and then they took that and turned it into a horror game, and it is just hilarious to me because towards the end of the game, you literally have a group of Tattletales Furbies, in a pentagram trying to summon something. It is just hilarious. But the stress of having to worry about which monster's around the corner and what action you have to do to not die, as well as keeping up with the different healthcare things for the Tattletale, because if its health, if one of the meters go down, it will start making noise and attract the monsters to you and kills you faster.
Sounds pretty terrible.
Yeah, see, that's it. That's it may not, I mean, cheap jump scares doesn't really make a horror game a good horror game. It scares you, obviously, but it doesn't make it a good game. But this is a game that's terrible at the fact of, like, paying like Elden Ring, paying like Dark Souls, of you got to make sure you have it down to precise individual actions, and if you mess up, you're dead. So it's a terrible game in gameplay wise, but I feel like that makes it that much better because it's challenging.
I watched like the first 2 or 3 days. That's how it works, progression by days until Christmas. I think I watched like the first 2 or 3 just like a few hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it would be. I didn't think it was like horrible, but then again, I'm not playing it. But I think it would be scary because, again, like you're a 5-year-old opening your Christmas presents early. Like, you don't have that control. You can't fight back. Like, because, it makes it more scary to know that you're playing as a child chilling with this Furby than, if you're playing as, Leon Kennedy going to his basement with a shotgun loaded with, for Mama over here, gonna blast her open.
It's time to annihilate some Telltales. Sorry.
It kind of reminded me a little bit of FNAF Security Breach. Not really, but in the way that is, in FNAF, you're playing as this kid who has to, like, again, you're 10 and you have to hide in the laundry basket. You can't really do much against these, animatronics. And you have a flashlight that you have to recharge.
Yeah.
And your animatronic friend also needs to be recharged. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not that scary in your opinion, Jake?
I mean, it looked like it could. The sound thing at the top is probably okay, no, shaking the flashlight is the scariest thing because it's so loud and it's like it starts and it's like and
I get what you're saying. I watched Markiplier play through this game, and certain moments it gets you, but it's a mediocre game. I just wanted to make a mention of it because I thought that it's a nice attempt. I appreciate what they were trying to do, but it's a great game. All right. The video's going long, but I knew it was going to be a long video, so I just want to talk about the last game, and then we'll try to figure out what's the worst one. The last one is not a full game. PT, which is a demo that was made for an unreleased Silent Hill game. Now, why PT I wanted to put up here is because it introduced probably one of my least favorite, but the most interesting horror game gimmicks, which is you're in a hallway and you walk down the hallway and it's like you take a left into down another hallway, and it's like these string of hallways. A lot of hallways, but like there's different things like, oh, there's pictures on the frame. Oh wait, I heard something break behind me. Look over, oh, there's nothing there. Okay, keep going. You get to the end of the hallway, open up the door, it's the same hallway, and each time you go through, it's a constant loop of you just going back to the beginning of the same hallway and again, but every time you go, the atmosphere just keeps getting more and more creepy. We're talking about sheer buildup. You know there's going to be a jump scare at the end of it. You know there's going to be something terrifying. It's just a matter of when. And that's something that I like about these games, is that it's a ticking time bomb of you reaching the end and being absolutely terrified at this thing. The jump scare doesn't even have to be that great quality. The anticipation build up to that point is what is the most important. And with PT, there has been a string of games very similar to this. The whole looping room, walking through, then coming back to the beginning, then walking through again and coming back to the beginning of it, and each time you walk through, something has changed. Like all of a sudden the walls are covered in blood, there's bodies lying around. It just increases the atmosphere until it gets to that point, and then something bad happens.
For sure. Again, one of the things that there are a few things that makes it scary, and I feel like it has both, like Matt was saying, the terror and horror elements. Terror being like, again, like you're talking about the build-up, like this door is kind of like the bathroom door kind of cracked open, and you hear something in there, and then something peeks out, and you're like, whoa, and then the door just shuts, and it's like, whoa, what was that? But then part of the horror is, as you get towards the middle of the game, or towards the end, it's like it goes like full, like, you know, like there's this like big safe hanging above you, oozing with blood. I think that's part of what makes the Silent Hill franchise more scary, is that it is kind of disgusting. Some of the things that are in them, some of them. I haven't seen a ton of footage. Straight. One thing about PT I will say, though. Well, first of all, people think it's a metaphor for what happened at who made it? What company?
It's Kojima's last game at Konami, or whatever the company it is.
Yeah, there's some proof that. Yeah, there's some proof that there's a lot of metaphors of what happened to Kojima, and it's funny because a lot of the things add up. Like this, bloody fetus in the bathroom's like 10 months ago this happened, which perfectly aligns to the release date. To 10 months ago, Kojima probably got the phone call that he was going to get fired, stuff like that. I don't really know.
Jacob, you gotta stop watching all these YouTube videos, bro. Oh my god.
But it's like, again, it's like the weird stuff that
Silent Hill's known for, yeah.
But for a tech demo, it's just like you have to plug in the bloody microphone or whatever. It's a beat.
You actually have to plug in a microphone?
I think you need to plug in a microphone and say something to for a phone call to go through.
Oh, that's cool.
It's like for a glorified tech demo, like it's fleshed out.
Mm-hmm.
And also the good again, that wouldn't be good with the bloody PS2 graphics that we were talking about earlier. And the graphics are good, and then you've got this thing lurking behind you the entire time. You don't know what it is. And also the known fact as you go on that you're a dad who murdered his entire family with a shotgun.
Whoa.
I
missed that. Is that actually the story?
Yeah, you're being kind of possessed by your wife, and then there's a lot of symbolism.
I should have you described the game. That I myself haven't played it. I just have seen the different games that have spawned from that concept. I should have you explain.
I haven't played it either. You can't buy it.
You can't play it. They took it off the PlayStation Store.
No. Oh no. Oh, I heard about this. Never mind. But yeah.
Yeah, when they fired Kojima, which means you're never gonna get another Metal Gear Rising irks me. But
No,
when they fired Kojima, they took all that stuff off the Play Store.
Oh, that's sad. Okay. I just wanted to throw that out there because I feel like it's just a very popular trope that I've seen and I've enjoyed watching because it's just a very interesting concept in my opinion. But I have shortened the list. I've taken all the ones that have stuck out to us. Currently, right now at the top, I have Until Dawn, Resident Evil 2, the remake, and Alien Isolation. I have on there Outlast 1 and 2. I feel like we should take one of those off.
Outlast 2 is better. I'm just going to throw it out there.
I haven't reached the end. Here's my thoughts. No one suggested The Whistleblower, the DLC for Outlast 2. Outlast 1, excuse me. There's something about The Whistleblower that is absolutely... My goodness. If it is not scarier than Outlast 2, it is right on par with Outlast 2. Outlast 2, the unknowingness of it all adds to it. It adds to it. You're pretty very I'm still trying to make connection of what's going on. Outlast, the first Outlast, you figure out a good amount, kind of halfway through the game. It's an insane asylum. They were doing experiments on the people, and the experiments mutated them. Blah blah blah. And the morphogenic engine is created things and blah blah blah. And my biggest complaint is the fact that the Wall Rider isn't like a ghost. It's like a cloud of nanobots, kind of. Which, sorry, spoilers. I apologize. That just basically rewrites your DNA to do these different things. It's kind of was like, oh, okay, cool. But yeah, let me get your thoughts. Outlast 1 or 2?
I haven't played either of them. Sorry.
I'm sorry, Matt.
Any Whistleblower and 5 minutes of Outlast 1.
Say again.
I've seen 2 minutes of Whistleblower and the 5 minutes of Outlast 1. So
Chris,
I
help
would
me out
think
here.
specifically because of Whistleblower Outlast 1. For the specific reason, I've seen the gameplay of Whistleblower. The dread of knowing what's going to happen is over you. That whole Whistleblower is the prequel DLC, right?
Technically, yes.
Yeah, but in the beginning, the dread of knowing what's going to happen to this guy that you're playing as and to everything there hangs over you that entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think adds to the just freakiness of oh my gosh, what's going on?
Yeah. And in The Whistleblower, you meet basically every single character except Traeger. When you run into Traeger, he's already dead, which is a little upsetting. But all right. So, gentlemen, that means we have top 4: Outlast, Until Dawn, Resident Evil 2, the remake, and Alien Isolation. What is our thoughts? Which one is the worst?
I'm the one who submitted it, so I think Resident Evil 2 is absolutely one of, if not the scariest horror game of all time. And I think there are 3 really great games in the Resident Evil franchise. I think 2 and 7 are about even for horror, but I think 2 edges it.
Okay. What do you think, Jake?
I guess I think Resident Evil probably, but then again, from what I know about Outlast, I know that can be pretty terrifying too.
Mm-hmm.
One thing about Resident Evil, I will say, you do the main I'm not very far in, but
Okay.
thus far, who you run into most are the main zombies. The lickers are scary. You can kind of just run by them most of the time and take not a lot of damage. But Outlast sometimes it's you don't have that gun. But then again, I don't really
Outlast, you don't have a gun.
Well, yeah, that's why I said you don't have the gun in Outlast
Oh, okay.
versus Resident Evil, where you can take down a lot of the zombies, and a lot of times you can just kind of run by.
Yeah, this is how I know you haven't run into Mr. X yet.
Well, yeah, again, so I'm kind of even on the two. I'm gonna be real. I don't know.
Okay. There's something about Resident Evil that I do like. That being said, when I first started playing Outlast, there were moments that I had to stop the recording and put it down and walk away because because I'm like, okay, I need to stop. I need to come back. Resident Evil, didn't really hit any of that until the final boss, like the final boss after you beat both of the characters.
Spoil it.
The final boss. The final boss scared me. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Okay. That's all I'm
Route
saying.
A final boss or Route B final boss?
When you complete both of them.
Both of them. Okay.
When you complete both of them, that final boss. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know
what
only because it was disgusting. But I didn't get a whole lot of. I have to put the controller down and walk away. Didn't get that a whole lot. But we can't leave Until Dawn and Alien Isolation out of this because both are pretty terrifying. Matt,
I don't think Until Dawn's as scary. To be
really, I find it terrifying.
It's scary, but I never had to walk away from it. Super scaryable. My sister-in-law, who I played it with, she got super scared.
You know, I will say one thing about Resident Evil. In every single game, after you get out of the first level, it's not scary anymore. Or it's not as scary. After you get out of the first level of Resident Evil, it's not as scary in all the games.
Here's my vote. You want my vote?
What's that?
I'm gonna go with Alien Isolation.
All right, please your case, sir.
No.
Darn you.
Just kidding. It takes a scary property, puts you on a big ship alone with a known Hollywood monster, as scary as it's ever been, up close and personal, and it gives you what we talked about where you can't fight, you can't kill it, and you have an AI that will, over time, learn your patterns or learn to search for you and hunt you down more efficiently. I'm going to go with Alien Isolation.
I have to say, we have the game that doesn't sugarcoat anything. Outlast. A lot of blood and guts and gore and terrifying guys. You hide well, they're not going to give you any issues. So a part of that, and it warns you that, oh, you have to run away. So a part of that takes it away. Like once you kind of realize, oh, I can hide behind this cabinet and they're just going to walk away, that kind of takes it away. Until Dawn, we have the whole QuickTime events. I don't know. I see what you're going for. I will take your word about Until Dawn. So I'll talk about Outlast, Resident Evil, and Alien Isolation. I'll take your word about Until Dawn, Matt. Resident Evil 2 remake. The graphics, moi. The story, moi. The monsters, moi. Very good. And like learning how to grow and adapt to fight those monsters is really great. But you seen one zombie, you kind of seen them all. Lickers, you fight them, they're terrifying the first time. Then you hear like them skittering down the hall, like, oh gosh darn it, I gotta waste more submachine gun ammo to blow this guy to smithereens. But and then it's like,
Like I said, so the first level of every Resident Evil game, including, 7 stays scary for a little bit longer, but I think the first
7
of 2 was harder.
7. I'll be honest.
Do we want to throw 7 on this list?
No, because I got bored with 7 after a while.
Really? I actually love 7.
I love no. Huh?
Is that Village?
No.
No, that's
We're not going to talk about Village.
Village isn't scary.
When you put
Well, I take that back. It's not that scary.
when you sexualize one of the monsters, it loses the scare factor.
That is true.
Well, you weren't looking at the
I will be
zombies.
honest. She is pretty scary when she's coming after you.
Yeah, but also
But
it's
not that scary.
not
Yeah.
that scary. Sorry, I just have to throw that out there. I honestly, if someone was suggested Village, I love Village. I think I've enjoyed every single Resident Evil game except 5. We don't talk about
I actually kind of like 5.
where the
I'm gonna
guy
be honest,
punched the boulder.
It's stupid, but I kind of like 5.
Okay. Anyways, Resident Evil 2 just has that. This is the beginning. Like, yeah, sure, there's a game before. This is the beginning. This is how it all started. And each monster that you encounter kind of brings that. But you can kill them. And then you don't have to deal with them. Then you got Alien Isolation. Except Mr. X. Then you got Alien Isolation. Literally an unkillable force. Something that actually learns. I didn't understand that the AI actually learns like that. That is insane to me. But, alright. Chris, give me your...
I might be changing my vote to Alien Isolation when we're talking about it. I'm thinking my playthrough of Resident Evil 2. And yeah, once I got outside of RPD, I was more just like, oh, I'm just going to kill this guy. Oh, I'm just going to use my shotgun.
Yeah. What do you think, Jake?
Well, one thing I will say, I think it should add something about the progression of Resident Evil where you build up your armory more. Yes, at the beginning it gets less scary, but then it becomes more strategic, adding like there's more as the regular zombies become easier to beat. You introduce characters like the Lickers and Mr. X and new factors. I'm at the part where this, FBI agent just comes up, and there's more unknowns now as it progresses. I think that should add something to it, although I'm not sure about a scare factor.
Mm-hmm. I think saying that at a point it does become more of a, okay, I have to strategically use my ammo to make sure I don't run out of what I need to keep the zombies at bay. And I'll agree with Chris as well. Once you run into the first monsters and they're terrifying and they're spooky and scary, and then then they become a nuisance. And it's like, oh man, another plant-based zombie. I gotta aim for the little flower buds to make sure he dies properly. Things like that.
I will say the exception to that is Mr. X, but I don't know if he shows up enough to make it beat over Alien Isolation.
And then you can just bamboozle him. Like, you run into the library and you climb up a ladder and then run out, and then there you go. You don't have to worry about him ever.
I will say, I did that once and he climbed the ladder after me, and that was like, oh
no,
that was scary.
Okay,
but he doesn't show up enough to beat out Alien, I don't think.
Okay, then yeah. We have the alien. I think, Matt, we're going to have to give it to you.
Well, I didn't make Alien Isolation.
I know.
To be clear, so I can't take too much credit for it.
Actually, you have to give it to Phil because Phil suggested it.
Phil did suggest it. That is...
suggestion.
Hey, Jonah, this was a lot of fun. Thank you for inviting me on.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a winner. Alien Isolation. I mean, this is our thoughts and opinions, and these are just games that we have gathered, from other people's votes and opinions, and this is our just process of elimination. But I think it hits it all. The lack of power to defend yourself, an enemy and a foe that you cannot, that learns with what you're doing and that you really can't stop. And let's talk about the atmosphere. Atmosphere is being alone on a ship. You not know where the sucker is going to be. You not know when it's going to show up. And then the build up to the actual monster reveal. It hits all the points. But thank you, gentlemen, for joining me and for having this discussion. Chris and Jake and Matt, thank you for talking through everything. I think this is a very nice discussion video. I wasn't sure how tonight was going to go, let's be honest. So, and Phil, thank you for suggesting Alien Isolation last minute. I think that was great. If Alien Isolation wasn't on here, we probably would have ended up with like either Outlast or Resident Evil, though. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably Outlast over Resident Evil.
Yeah. Oh well, it's
Little
okay.
Nightmares. I don't think Little Nightmares is that scary.
It's not really that scary.
It's more creepy, I think.
I had Little Nightmares on my list. I was looking at it. It's more of a body horror type of, oh, that's disgusting. Ew, that's gross. Oh, that's nasty. That makes my skin crawl.
I call it more creepy.
Yeah, more creepy.
Yeah, Chris.
More creepy.
Jacob, ice.
I didn't hear what he said.
I'm gonna change my Crunchyroll password. How's that?
What did he say? I didn't hear him.
When he said body horror, makes my skin crawl. I was like, me looking at Chris.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna change my Crunchyroll password.
I'm gonna go like before you. Anyways, thank you everybody for joining us. Like I said, this is our opinions, but I think we chose a good one. If you haven't played Alien Isolation, I would recommend that you go to Steam or wherever else it's available and go pull it up. Maybe it's on sale still.
I got it for $2.
You got it for $2. You get it's on sale. Go get it. And thank you, gentlemen, for joining me for this lovely discussion. As always, I am Rick Quasar. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe. November is drawing to a close, but I still have some other surprises for you. You'll just have to pay attention. Just be patient and watch out. Just a few more surprises to go, and then it'll all be over. And as always, the question is, are you ready to say nope?